The Galactic Defense Academy was a place where only the strongest and most advanced beings trained. It floated above a blue gas giant, surrounded by rings of light and guarded by warships from 100 worlds. Every species in the galaxy knew that if you could survive here, you could survive anywhere. The Academy's training was harsh, and even the toughest cadets often failed within the first few days. When Cadet Ryan Hale arrived, the training officers didn't know what to expect. He was human, the only one of his kind to ever be accepted into the Academy. Humans were new to the galactic community, still viewed as primitive and unpredictable. Most alien officers thought this small, soft-looking creature would last a day at most. Some even joked that he might faint during the first gravity test. Ryan didn't look like a soldier from a warlike species. His body was lean, not bulky. His skin lacked scales or armor, and his eyes held no visible signs of natural weaponry. But there was something quiet and determined in his expression as he stepped onto the training grounds for the first time. He looked around at the tall, colorful cadets from alien worlds, some glowing, some made of metal, others with more arms than he had fingers, and he simply smiled. The first day began with gravity endurance drills. The cadets were ordered into the chamber, where artificial gravity increased by the minute. At first, everyone moved easily, running in perfect formation. But soon, even the strongest of them slowed. Muscles burned. Knees shook. One by one, cadets dropped out, panting and defeated. When the gravity reached triple the normal force, the human was still moving. His steps were slow, but he refused to stop. Commander Threx, a tall alien with shining violet armor, watched through the glass panel. "Increase the pull," he said. "Let's see the human's limit." An assistant hesitated. "Sir, triple gravity is enough for—" "Do it," Threx ordered. The gravity increased again. The alien cadets groaned. Some fell to the floor, unable to stand. But in the corner, Ryan pushed himself up. Every muscle in his body trembled, his face was red, and his breath came in harsh gasps. Yet he kept moving, one step after another, as if powered by something unseen. When the test finally ended, medics rushed in. Several cadets were unconscious. Ryan, however, was still awake, lying flat on the ground with a faint grin. "Still breathing," he muttered, half to himself. From the control room, Commander Threx frowned. "Impossible," he whispered. He should not be conscious. The next day, most expected him to quit. But Ryan was back at dawn, stretching quietly while others complained about sore muscles. He didn't talk much. He simply observed, learned, and adjusted. During combat drills, where speed and instinct mattered most, he fought like someone used to adapting. He was smaller and slower than his alien opponents, but he used timing and creativity. He ducked under claws, sidestepped energy blades, and struck when they least expected it. A Draven cadet with 4 arms and thick armor sneered at him after one match. "You don't fight right," the creature growled. "You cheat," Ryan smiled. "I just fight to win." That answer spread quickly among the others. Soon, aliens who had mocked him began to watch him closely. They noticed how he paid attention to every instruction, how he took failure as a challenge instead of defeat. He asked questions, tested his limits, and never complained. By the 4th day, the alien instructors started to worry. The human's endurance didn't match any known pattern. They tested his heart rate, muscle capacity, and neural stability. Everything looked normal, too normal. It made no sense. The officers wondered if humans were hiding some biological advantage. But Ryan's secret wasn't hidden in his body. It was in his mind. On the 5th day, the Academy ran the mental endurance simulation. It was a test that projected fears and illusions directly into a cadet's mind. It was designed to break the strongest wills. Commander Threx had seen even war veterans collapse inside that simulator. When Ryan entered, the observers watched his vitals on the screen. His pulse spiked, then steadied. The images inside the simulation were terrible. Storms of fire, endless darkness, creatures of fear and memory. Most cadets would scream or beg for the test to stop. Ryan did not. Inside the simulation, he saw visions of isolation, pain, and failure, everything designed to push him to despair. But instead of running from them, he faced them. He talked to the illusions, questioned them, and refused to let them control him. His focus remained calm and sharp. After 3 hours, the simulation ended. The chamber door opened and Ryan stepped out, drenched in sweat but still standing straight. Commander Threx looked at him with disbelief. "You remained conscious through the full cycle," he said. "No one does that." Ryan simply wiped his forehead and said, "Guess I'm not like everyone else." By the 6th day, the whole academy was talking about the human cadet. Some admired him. Others felt uneasy. No one understood how such a fragile creature could endure what stronger species could not. Rumors spread that humans were secretly bred for survival, that they had a strange ability to resist pain or adapt faster than any known species. Ryan ignored the gossip. He kept training. Every day brought new challenges: physical combat, weapon drills, survival exercises in harsh climates. When others slowed, he pushed harder. When they rested, he practiced alone in the night. There was something about him that made others stop and watch. Not just his effort, but his spirit. He had no claws, no exoskeleton, no telepathic control. But he had something rare: the will to keep moving forward, even when every part of him wanted to stop. On the 7th day, the final test arrived. Hand-to-hand combat against a live opponent. Ryan's challenger was a massive 6-limbed Draven named Korath, one of the Academy's best fighters. The aliens in the crowd whispered that this would finally end the human streak. The match began. Korath charged with a roar, his limbs striking like hammers. Ryan barely dodged the first blow. The shockwave from it cracked the floor. He moved fast, rolling and sliding, searching for an opening. Korath laughed. "You can't win, human." "Give up." But Ryan didn't answer. He waited. He studied the rhythm of Korath's movement. Then when the Draven raised his upper arms for another strike, Ryan slipped under and hit the joint with all his strength. The alien stumbled. Ryan struck again, aiming for weak points, not power. He used the floor, the environment, even Korath's own momentum. When the match ended, Korath was on the ground, bruised but unharmed, and Ryan stood above him, breathing hard but smiling. The audience fell silent. Commander Threx, watching from the platform, slowly stood. He turned to his fellow officers. "The human cadet survived a full week," he said quietly. No one spoke. The statement carried more weight than any applause. Later that evening, Ryan sat alone in the mess hall. A few alien cadets approached him, the same ones who had once laughed. They placed their food trays beside his. One of them, a crystalline being from Eltar, said, "You are strange, human. You do not stop." Ryan gave a small laugh. "Stopping never helped anyone back home," he said. The aliens didn't fully understand what he meant, but they nodded anyway. They had seen something that made them rethink everything they knew about strength and endurance. When Ryan left the hall, whispers followed him. To some, he was an inspiration. To others, a mystery. But to the training officers, he was something far more important, a sign that the galaxy had underestimated the humans. For the first time, the instructors were not testing the human. They were studying him. The fear was quiet but real. If one human could survive the Academy's first week, what could an entire army of them do? The thought unsettled everyone, and so as the Academy lights dimmed for the night, one truth echoed through the halls. The human cadet had not only survived, he had changed the game forever. The morning after Ryan's 7th day of training, the Academy was buzzing with whispers. Cadets from every species had witnessed something extraordinary. Humans had always been considered weak, unpredictable, or even reckless. Yet this single human, Ryan Hale, had survived challenges designed to break the galaxy's toughest warriors. Alien instructors who were used to controlling and predicting the outcomes of training now felt uncertainty and even fear. Commander Threx called a private meeting with the senior training officers. The observation room was filled with holographic displays, charts of Ryan's vitals, and recordings of every drill he had endured. "We cannot ignore this any longer," Threx began. His voice was calm, but there was tension under the surface. "This human does not obey the rules of endurance. His body adapts, his mind. I have never seen anything like it." One of the officers, a massive reptilian being from Draven, hissed softly. "It cannot be natural. Something is hiding inside him, some secret advantage. We must test him harder." Threx shook his head. "No biological advantage has been detected. He is purely human. This is his will. His determination, it is frightening." The officers spent the rest of the day designing the final challenge, a simulated battlefield that combined every trial Ryan had faced. Amplified to a level meant to defeat even the strongest species, energy storms would strike unpredictably, automated enemy drones would hunt him, and traps would appear without warning. Terrain would shift constantly, creating a maze of danger. If he survived this, no one could call him anything less than extraordinary. When the simulation began, Ryan entered the chamber alone. His eyes scanned the shifting environment. Cracks in the floor, sudden walls of energy, and hovering drones filled the area. Most cadets would have panicked, but Ryan had learned something during his first week. Fear was a tool, not a barrier. He focused on observation, noting patterns in the movement of drones and energy pulses. The first attack came swiftly. A drone shot a beam of concentrated energy directly at him. Ryan ducked, rolled, and threw a small piece of debris to misdirect it. The beam missed, striking a nearby wall and sending shards of metal flying. He barely had time to react to the next wave. But his reflexes had sharpened over the past week. Every move he made was deliberate, each decision calculated in split seconds. Hours passed, and the challenges grew more intense. The floor shifted beneath him, creating a wave-like effect that knocked many cadets off balance during earlier trials. He adapted immediately, adjusting his stance and keeping low to maintain stability. Automated enemies fired relentlessly, yet Ryan turned obstacles into tools. He used fallen drone parts as shields, debris as weapons, and the shifting terrain to hide an ambush. Watching from the observation deck, the officers were silent. Their surprise was growing into disbelief. Every test they devised, Ryan overcame with creativity, skill, and persistence. Where other species relied on strength or natural adaptations, Ryan relied on his mind, learning from each encounter. By the third hour, Ryan had already faced dangers that would have ended most cadets' simulations. Yet he showed no signs of giving up. His uniform was torn, his body scraped and bruised, sweat running into his eyes, but he continued moving. The alien cadets who had once laughed at him were now hiding behind observation screens, watching in awe. At one point, Ryan found himself trapped in a narrow corridor with drones closing in from both ends. He noticed a small ventilation shaft above. Without hesitation, he jumped, gripping the edge and climbing into it. The drones fired below, missing him entirely. From the shaft, he dropped silently onto a platform above the drones, then used pieces of fallen equipment to knock them offline. Commander Threx rubbed his eyes, muttering, "I have never seen a cadet think like this. Not one from any species." The simulation continued into the late hours. Ryan faced illusions meant to confuse him, shifting walls, false exits, holographic enemies, but he remained focused. Each challenge taught him something new. Where others might have panicked, he adapted. Where others might have hesitated, he acted decisively. Finally, after what seemed like an endless cycle of danger, Ryan reached the final zone. A mechanical opponent larger and stronger than any cadet he had faced emerged. Its design was based on the galaxy's top soldiers, equipped with weapons designed to exploit weakness. It charged at him with precision and speed. Ryan didn't retreat. He studied the machine's movements, noticing patterns in its attacks. When it swung with a heavy arm, he ducked and rolled to the side, striking its joint with a piece of reinforced metal. Sparks flew and the machine staggered. He repeated the tactic, moving with rhythm and using both his mind and his body. Finally, after a tense few minutes, the opponent powered down, unable to continue. The observation deck erupted, not in cheers but in stunned silence. The alien cadets and officers stared at the human standing victorious, breathing hard, bruised but smiling. He had survived the ultimate trial that was meant to defeat anyone in the galaxy. Threx stepped forward and entered the chamber. "Cadet Hale," he said slowly, trying to control his voice. "Do you understand what you have accomplished?" Ryan shook his head slightly, wiping sweat from his brow. "I just didn't stop. That's all?" Threx looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "It's not just all human. You have shown something no one expected. You have endurance, strategy, and courage. More than that, you have heart." When news of his success reached the Galactic High Council, the story of the human cadet spread quickly. Ambassadors from countless worlds watched the recordings. The report emphasized his resilience, ingenuity, and willpower. Where other species relied on strength, natural adaptations, or advanced technology, humans relied on something deeper: the ability to learn, adapt, and refuse to give up. No matter the odds, the council convened a special session. Members from powerful species debated what this could mean for the future. "One human survived the Academy's ultimate trial," said a crystalline council member. "If an entire fleet of them exists, we may have underestimated them entirely." Ryan himself remained unaware of the full impact. He continued training, focused on learning, improving, and understanding the alien technology around him. To him, survival wasn't about fame or recognition. It was about proving, first to himself, that limits could be pushed and surpassed. Over the following weeks, alien cadets began changing their approach. They watched Ryan closely, studying his strategies, trying to learn from him. The initial laughter and mockery had vanished, replaced by respect and curiosity. They realized strength alone wasn't enough. Adaptability, creativity, and determination were equally, and if not more, powerful. Even the instructors began adjusting their methods. Ryan had not only survived the academy, he had changed its rules. They introduced new exercises, not just to break cadets, but to teach them how to think differently as the human had. By the end of the second week, Ryan's legend had grown. Cadets whispered his name with awe and admiration. He had faced impossible challenges, survived them all, and done so with ingenuity and calm. Commander Threx, once skeptical, now openly admitted to other officers, "Humans are unlike anything we have encountered. They are small, fragile, and yet unbreakable." The academy itself had transformed. What began as an experiment to test a single human cadet had become a lesson for the entire galaxy. Species that had underestimated humanity now saw that their assumptions were wrong. Strength and skill mattered, but nothing compared to the indomitable spirit Ryan had shown. In the quiet moments of the evening, Ryan sat looking at the stars outside the academy's dome. He thought of Earth, his home, and how humans had always survived, through ingenuity, teamwork, and determination. He realized that in the galaxy, survival wasn't just about technology or evolution. It was about heart. Somewhere in the council chambers, Commander Threx finalized his report. It was not only a record of Ryan's achievements, but also a warning. Humanity was not to be underestimated. A species that could survive the Academy's ultimate trials could do anything. And so, as the lights of the Academy dimmed, a new reality settled across the galaxy. Humans were here, they were extraordinary, and the story of one cadet's endurance would be remembered for generations. Alien officers panicked, not because Ryan had failed, he hadn't, but because he had succeeded beyond all expectation, showing a kind of strength that no technology, no training, and no alien evolution could match. The human cadet had survived the impossible. He had proven that spirit, courage, and relentless determination could overcome even the most extreme challenges. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again.